Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market prep video for April 24th, 2024. I apologize, everyone. I'm going to talk a little bit fast. I'm going to move this along as quick as I can, and I'm going to have to skip a few things. Had a major computer problem here this morning, and so this video is going to be late. There will be no blog or anything else here today, so I do apologize. Let's take a look at what happened here overnight really quick. We had Asian markets mostly up across the board. Just Australia was a little bit lower. We have European markets this morning. They're green across the board, but a little bit more modest than they were yesterday on the rally to the upside. U.S. futures at this very moment are mixed. We have the Dow futures down just a little bit with the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ up pretty sharply, up 0.5%. If we take a look at oil, well, oil this morning is down across the board. We've got oil futures down, Brent is down, natural gas is down, gasoline is down, so we got a little bit of a pushback going on in there. They're suggesting their data is expecting a drop in U.S. crude stocks, so we will see about that. We've got gold here this morning. Gold, silver, platinum, palladium are lower. We've got copper just ever so slightly higher. And then if we take a look at our cryptos, we have cryptos mixed here this morning. Bitcoin is down $142 a coin at the moment, but kind of a mix, some up, some down here on those cryptocurrencies. So what does all that mean for the day? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Wednesday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I do truly appreciate it. Apologize for the problem this morning. Not much I could have done with it, but still trying to get this video out. It will probably be just a little bit later than normal. Let's take a look at these charts and let's try to shake off that bias. Let's look at the charts for what they are, not for what we want them to be, and see if we can figure out how we may want to approach the market for today. Well, as you can see, we have had quite a nice little relief rally to the upside. That's definitely what we've needed. We still have an issue here trying to get through this area. We may still get that done today. You never know, particularly after the bell, we get Meta report today, so another big tech will be in there. But looking at this chart, you can see if the bulls can continue to push forward, then we will be looking at a potential break of this big resistance area in the chart. And then I would say right up in here would be that next level. Now, pushing up into here, I think is going to be relatively hard for the market to do. There's a lot of price action in here. We're going to need some really good data for that. So watch that carefully up here. Remember, we are pushing up here toward that 50-day moving average. So if we can reach up there and push into that 50-day moving average, that's the place where we can oftentimes see failure in the market. So watch that carefully as we push right up into here, and watch for that possibility that we could soften up a little bit and pull back. Now, of course, earnings are going to make a big difference here, whether or not we can rally these all the way back up or not. And remember, it's not uncommon at all on some of these failures around a 50-day moving average. Well, a little bit like this right in here, where we can kind of cross above the 50 just a bit and then push right back lower. So watch carefully on that. If we take a look at our SPY, let me cover the bearish side. Sorry. If the bears were to find inspiration for today, where would we go? First off, push back down, test the top of that big old black candle right there. That looks like a likely place where we would pull back to if the bears find any reason to do so. And then beyond that point, we're probably going to be looking at a retest of this area, that support in the air on the chart. And if we did hold in that area, we could create a higher low, and that would be bullish for the market. So watch carefully if we were to hold in that area. But falling on through there, it probably gets a little bit concerning there for the market, dropping back to this area of price support. Let's take a look at our SPY, SPY. If those bulls can find that inspiration to continue to push to the upside today, looks like a pretty good resistance right in there on the chart. And remember, if we can push through that area, then we're going to be pushing up into this downtrend. Need to extend my line out there. Push into that downtrend, and we'd be pushing right up into this area of the chart where we're going to run into that moving average resistance as well. If we were to take a peek here, right up in that moving average resistance is where we're going to maybe find that extra difficulty to maybe push on through. So watch that carefully today. If the bears were to find inspiration today, then pushing back down, you can see that right in here, pushing back down to this little price support area would seem pretty likely. Breaking down below there, there might be a little bit of middle of the road kind of support in there, a little bit there, but then we would probably push on right on down to this area of the chart, and then we might be looking at testing lows if we were to drop through there. If we take a look at our NASDAQ, our NASDAQ had a really good day yesterday, pushing up, pushing toward this resistance level in the chart. Remember, this had a lot to recover. Did a good job yesterday, but as you can see, this will be the real test to see if we're going to continue to rally. And an even stronger test would be right up in here. So pushing through this level today, pushing up into here would be a pretty good stretch for the QQQ, and the possibility is there with big tech to get that done, so we'll want to watch that carefully. And then if we look at our 50-day moving average here, you can see we would have to push through all three of these levels to come up there and test that 50-day moving average, and then we would be also coming in contact with this little downtrend in the QQQ. If the bears find inspiration, well, it's pretty easy to see. We might push back into this support area of the chart, and then breaking down through there, I'd say maybe a little test of the bottom of that yesterday's candle, and beyond that point, we're probably coming back down to the lows. IWM had a really good day yesterday, pushed up, tested that downtrend, and at one point in time we were pushing through that downtrend, but it didn't quite make it there, and at the end of the day we ended up pushing back down through just a tiny little bit. Now, if the bulls can find that inspiration today, then I would suggest a push right up through here. You'll notice if I were to draw a line from this area right in here, that's about where we stopped yesterday on that move. If we can push on through there, then I'm going to suggest we'll probably come up in here to test this area of price resistance in the chart. Now, if I back this off just a little bit, you can see this is a fairly strong area of price resistance in the chart. Breaking through there, if we pop through here, probably coming up into kind of a mid area of price resistance here, and then right on through into this area of the chart. Now, getting through that area would be huge for the IWM, considering that is a very, very big area of price resistance in the chart. We've attempted that before and just haven't been able to hold it, so watch that carefully. Now, if the bears were to find inspiration, extended that green line out just to show you maybe a pushback down into here. We might catch a little bit of price support there. Beyond that point, we're probably going to take the top or bottom side of that candle and then pushing on through little tiny price support here before we would drop into that level of the chart. Let's take a look at our VIX. Our VIX, big move the last 3 days, showing that fear is dropping out of the market. I'm not sure I believe that to be true, but we'll want to keep an eye on that. Fear pulling back, and you can see dropping through that upside trend, breaking down through this support. We're back down here around 16 handles, just below 16 handles in the chart. If the bulls can continue this trend to the upside, then every reason to believe that we could push down into here on that fear on the VIX. So watch carefully. Breaking down below there, we're probably going to be at new highs or breaking through those resistance levels and back above the 50-day moving average if we drop our fear all the way down into here. If the bears, however, were to come back in and find some reason to attack, then a pop back up in here would not be too much out of the surprise after such a big upside move here in the market. If we take a look at our T21, 22, those old T20s still have some room for this to move to the upside. If the bulls can find inspiration today in the data, we still have room here to the upside. You can see we kind of hooked over here a little bit, and if you noticed, one of the reasons we hooked over here just a little bit, if you look there in those index charts, volume was relatively light yesterday. Last 3 days volume has been in decline, so we kind of just didn't have that momentum really to follow through really strong up here into that bearish reversal zone. If we do get up here today, watch that carefully. Up here in the bearish reversal zone, we're always watching for that possibility of a pullback. If the bears find reason for inspiration today, then we would notice that we've opened a big opportunity for a downside move if for some reason they become inspired. If we take a look at our T2108, T2108, nice rally back yesterday, well, last couple of days, rallying back up, but you notice we didn't get a whole lot done here. This is a percentage of stock above the 40-day moving average, and you can see we're running into a level of resistance here in the chart. We're still below that 50% area here. So if the bulls can continue to find inspiration, we can get a surge to the upside. Every reason to believe we could break through that resistance and come up here toward that 50-day moving average area. Concern in the market will come if we falter here and we start to push on back. So yeah, watch that carefully here. And T2107 has done a really good job of holding percentage of stocks above our 200-day moving average, really holding in there nicely, pushing back up. Notice we broke through this resistance here, this lower side resistance in here. Now we're pushing up to the upper side resistance in that chart, and we're continuing to hold well above our 50% area, pushing back up towards 60%. And up here we're going to run into some resistance, and once again, this up here, once we start pushing through this area, we get a little bit frothy on that, and we can see that pullback begin to occur in the market. T2101 showed us that little bit of a problem there yesterday. Little hook ended up coming in on T2101, so we did have enough breadth to stop a decline in the breadth yesterday, but it really didn't have much energy to push back up. But if we can see the bulls be inspired today, we need to see this moving to the upside, pushing us up. What we don't want to see is if the bulls continue to push and continue to try and get that bullishness going here in the market, is to see that continue to fade. Don't want to see that. And we also, if you're a bear, what you want to see is you want to see a sell wave kicking back up and seeing that breadth of the market increasing to the sell side. So watch this carefully today. Let's take a look at our economic calendar here for today. And our economic calendar, we've already got some of the data out because I'm so late here. Mortgage applications declining here this morning, and not a big surprise because we certainly have had interest rates rising above 7%. 2.7% here on the actual. As you can see, they were looking for 3.3 negative. That's a negative 3.7. Excuse me, not looking for, that was the prior. The actual, a negative 1 from a 5% and a negative 5.8 from a 0.5% last time. We still have durable goods orders. That will be a potential market mover here this morning. We'll want to pay attention to that. Consensus is looking for 2.3, which would be an improvement over last time. Pretty nice improvement. But we're looking for ex-transportation to decline and core capital goods month over month to also decline. So kind of a mix of data here on what their consensus is suggesting. Watch that one close. We have petroleum status here this morning. Keep an eye on that. Survey of business inventories will be out here today. There's your prior on that. And then we've got a 4-month bill auction. We've got a 2-year note auction in here and a 5-year note auction as well. So keep an eye on those this afternoon. Now, looking into Thursday, this is, of course, what everyone's going to be thinking about pretty soon. We get through the volatility of the earnings this morning. Everyone's going to be thinking pretty heavily about what that GDP number is going to be on Thursday. International trading goods, jobless claims, pending home sales, natural gas report. We got Kansas City manufacturing number in here, and some bond auctions before we get on down here to the Fed balance sheet. So watch these data points tomorrow morning. Then, of course, we're going to be jumping right over into Friday morning with the personal incomes and outlays numbers. Of course, this is going to be interlaced with a whole bunch of big tech reports. So we'll have to keep a close eye on that. A lot of volatility is likely here in the market. Now, this morning, I'm not going to be able to go through, and I don't have not enough time to go through all of the earnings reports this morning. I will give you a few of the highlights here. This morning, we're going to hear from AT&T. Daily chart there, AT&T looks like that's bouncing up nicely here this morning. We've got BIIB that will be reporting this morning, BSX. We've got Bungie in there that will be reporting. We're going to hear from the CME today. We've got General Dynamics reporting, Hasbro reporting this morning. We're going to have Masco, Helen of Troy, Humana, ODFL will be in there. TDY is going to be in there. VRT is in there. WSO. So those are a few that will be reporting this morning. Keep an eye on those. Steel Dynamics is going to be reporting as well. This afternoon, the biggest notable is going to be Meta. Want to be paying attention to that. That certainly can move the market dramatically, and we're pushing back up toward those resistance highs heading into this. I kind of expect Meta to report a pretty good report today. They've held up really strong during all of this volatility. We've got CMG that will be this afternoon. We're going to hear from Ford Motor. We've got IBM that will be in here. We've got MOH. I'm just going through a few little highlights here. QS will be reporting. We've got SLM reporting this afternoon. We've got Waste Management. We've got Whirlpool, and we're going to hear from Wyndham Hotels. So a few of those notables here for today. I even think there's a Roku. I think a Roku is in there for, oh, that's tomorrow. My mistake. It's LRCX that is in there today. So apologize, I can't give you the entire list, and there will not be a blog this morning because I just don't have the time. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, guys, really quickly, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button, also click that bell icon, and if you find the video to be worthy, if you could click that thumbs up button, leave a brief comment, that helps the channel to continue to grow. Thank you so much for everyone who does take the time to do that. And I apologize I didn't get a chance to answer those video comments yesterday, but I'll be back on that today. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's take a look at some of these stocks that could be setting up. Remember, these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to be very, very careful. Do your own due diligence. Be watching this market for probably considerable volatility as we push around, and with these big data points coming our way. Could be a lot of volatility. Look for whipsaws, look for some disappointment. One of the things we're seeing is if a stock happens to miss, boy, they're really getting hammered to the downside. So just be kind of prepared for lots of volatility, because we've got Meta today. We're going to have Google and Microsoft tomorrow, and in the middle of that we're going to get GDP and a core PCE number on inflation. So anything is possible here over the next few days. Let's take a look at a few things here that could be setting up. We want to take a look at our dollar. Our dollar weakened yesterday, and that helped a lot. We were pushing back in our dollar, but unfortunately you can see our dollar is picking up a little bit here this morning, coming back up because our bonds, well, our 2-year bond fell pretty nicely. At one point yesterday in the morning hit 5%, and then it pulled back to 4.93%. It's now at 4.94. Our 10-year bond is at 4.64, and our 30-year bond is at a new high at 4.76. So we're continuing to see some pressure there in those bonds, and our dollar is surging to the upside here this morning. So watch that carefully. That can have an effect on an awful lot of things here in the market. One of the things that has been benefiting from a little bit of rest in the dollar is energy. If we take a look, XLE, nice little hold there in energy, holding that support, looking pretty good, continuing to push on higher, and there's quite a few stocks in that sector showing bullishness, trying to push on through to the upside. So we'll watch that carefully here on energy. On our financials, we've also seen a lot of strength here. Big banks pushing up, pushing into some resistance and into that downtrend. Now the question is, can they push on through that area? If we look at our moving averages, we broke back through that 50-day moving average really easily. So if we were to rest or pull back and hold a higher low in here, then we do run that opportunity for a push on through, maybe to retest highs. If we push on up through here and then rest, well, even better. Stronger move, push back up in here, we could test those resistance levels in the chart. If we happen to see a little bearish activity come in here, though, this wouldn't be too hard to see. That would be a logical area for a pullback in those charts. We're going to want to take a look at pay systems. Visa had a really good day reporting yesterday. Nice push up here, breaking through some resistance here in the chart. Look for that potential. Any rest or pullback in here would set up an opportunity in Visa, and that also helping out MasterCard here. Now it doesn't report until 5/1, so you might find an opportunity to catch a little bit of love in here if that holds back to the upside. And AXP has been moving to the upside here strongly. So just wait for a little rest or pullback here in American Express, and you may be able to catch a really nice opportunity in here with that breakthrough to the upside. I'd keep an eye on PayPal. I was really considering a purchase of PayPal yesterday for a longer term position, pushing up here as you can see on the daily. But if I look at that on the weekly, big break of that downtrend, trying to hold that higher low in here. The only thing that prevented me from starting a position on this is it's going to report next Tuesday, and boy, PayPal's had quite a problem here. I may still put in a little bit of a starter position for a longer term here on PayPal, watching that. And then of course, if we look at SQ, Block also had a really good move on those pay systems, pushing back up. So if we can hold up in here, then I would be looking for that next opportunity into a Block. If we take a look at some of our tech giants out there, AMD is rallying back up to its downtrend, but I gotta tell you, it's just not showing lots of strength. It will report next Tuesday, so anything is possible, but watch that carefully up here. If we were to run into this area and start pushing on down, breaking some support in that chart. Now, Google has been unbelievably strong, just really pushing, despite the fact that they're having to deal with quite a few lawsuits and investigations for monopoly activity. They're still staying very, very strong and pushing back up here in the market. So watch that carefully. Earnings tomorrow on that could really push on through. And Microsoft has been trying to push back up here off of this price support. We'll want to be keeping a close eye as we run into some resistance here in the chart. That possible failure could occur on a bad report. And remember, they could have good reports like we saw on Netflix and still move to the downside, meaning that they just didn't produce enough upside energy to support these current prices. So keep an eye on that. That is still a possibility with these charts. You may want to also be keeping an eye on some of the things going on in retail. If we look at Walmart had a pretty rough day yesterday, pulling back. At least it stopped at this price support. But if this were to fail and break down below this area, this would be a logical shorting point, and a failure here could really start moving Walmart lower. Costco had a tuck on it. There we go. Costco had a little bump up here to the upside, so it's the opposite, trying to hold this little W bottom support area in here. So keep an eye on this. If this can continue to push on through, nice little formation here in that chart. But if it were to fail up in here, watch for some potential of that moving lower. It is nice that this snuck back out from underneath that downtrend. And then if we look at Target, it's also struggling here with resistance, just despite we broke through that little downtrend, trying, but we're starting to see that little bit of failure in here. We need to see that turn back up here really quick. So retail, a little bit of a struggle here in the market. And if we look at some of our discount sellers, well, they're having some real problems. I called this as a short, moving to the downside here in Dollar General. So yeah, a lot of things moving around here and a lot of uncertainty in the market. So make sure you're very, very careful how you approach the market for today. Guys, I'm going to cut this off right here. Thanks for being patient today. Apologize, there will not be any blog. I'm not sending out anything else. I just won't have the time. I want to wish you all the very best, and I'll see you right back here bright and early Thursday morning. Have an awesome, awesome day.